Hello everyone, this is Dhanlakshmi, Assistant Professor of Triple Department from RMD Engineering College. In this session, I would like to discuss about rights of displaced. So in the previous video where we were discussed about the rights of children and human rights, where in Unit 5, it's all about rights of women, children and displaced. In the previous video, we discussed about rights of children. So now we will go for rights of displaced. So human rights on displaced. First, we should understand what we mean by IDP. So IDP is something different from refugee. So IDP is nothing but internally displaced person. So now recent times also we might come across this where people are moving from their own nation for various reasons and where they cannot proceed or they cannot continue their livelihood in their own country. So people are moving to other place or other location. So because of the various reasons, we'll see what are the organizations they are taking care of displaced people, in what way they are protecting them, in what way their rights have been protected by these organizations. So human rights of displaced. So we'll go for that. First, we'll go for the definition of that. According to the United Nations definition, who is a displaced person? We should know we should know who is a displaced person. The definition of UN is the persons or groups of persons who have been forced or obliged to flee or to leave their homes or places of habitual residence, in particular as a result of or in order to avoid the effects of armed conflict wherever the war is going on, situations of generalized violence, violations of human rights, or natural or human-made disasters, and who have not crossed an internationally recognized state border. So they are called IDP. So IDPs are the persons who are displaced internally. Internally displaced person is IDP. The refugee is something different. So where they will move internally because of these reasons. So whenever a war is going on in some nations where people will be moving from their own residence, from their own habitual places, right? So that is the actual definition of UN. So persons or groups of persons who have been forced or obliged to flee or to leave their homes or places of habitual residence, in particular as a result of or in order to avoid the effects of armed conflict, right? And situations of generalized violence, violations of human rights or natural or human-made disasters, and who have not crossed an internationally recognized state border. So these people are not crossing the international state border. They are moving only internally. Right? How is IDP different from refugees? We might be knowing about refugees, but there's a difference between IDP and refugee. The only distinction between the two groups is that refugees will process an international border in attempting to flee hardship and danger, while that is IDPs are moved inside the country, where strife and of socio-economic privatization exists. So this is the difference between the refugee and IDP. Refugee, they cross international border. So again, they come to the other countries or nation for their livelihood. But IDP is something they will move internally. They don't cross the international border. So that is the difference between the IDP and refugee. IDP is internally displaced persons, and where refugees we know it already. So this is the major difference between IDP and refugee. Refugees will cross international border. They move out of it, whereas the IDPs will move only inside the country. Right, internally they will get displaced. So when we see the IDPs are outnumbered refugees, right? So in the year 1970, we take the refugees count is 9 million, IDPs is of 5 million. Whereas in 1980, the refugees count is 14 million, and where it was 9 million where 9 million IDPs were there. But in 2000, it is 16 million, where IDP count is 20 to 25. In 2004, it is 13.2 million. You can see that 25 million. It was slowly or gradually increasing, where it is outnumbering the refugees. Now, the IDP count is outnumbering our refugee count, where we can see in the 2004, it is 13.2 million. Refugees are there, whereas IDPs are 25 million. Whereas in the year 1970, 9 million refugees, IDPs were only half of it, nearly half of it, 5 million. But here you can see that exactly it is double the times 13.2, nearly it is double the times of the refugees. So this community again, this community also have to be taken care, protected. The special vulnerability may be forced towards unhealthy or inhospitable environments. Their social organization might be destroyed or damaged, may experience profound psychological distress, right? So this is they mean the times of war, the people, the psychology, the mental condition of the mental condition of the people will be totally damaged, and they don't want to proceed in their own residence, so they will move to a different location to carry over their livelihood. And if they if the schooling was disrupted, or if they lost their livelihood income, then also they cannot continue to live there. So that may lead to there may lead to IDP. Then may lack identity documents. If they lost their identity itself, then how could they proceed? How could they continue to live there? The lack of access for international organization. So these are the reasons for the IDPs where if the place is not suitable for them to live, even their own residence they are leaving. It's a very it is a thing where they cannot tolerate that. So if in the times of war usually, so they cannot live there, so they will move away from that, and when they lost their identity, when they lost their income, when they lost their livelihood, all these are the reasons which make the count of IDPs to be increased. Then who's responsible for this? So national authorities have the primary duty and responsibility to provide protection and humanitarian assistance to IDPs within their jurisdiction. So you can see the national authorities are responsible, and it's their primary duty and responsibility to give protection to them. And within that, it's within at least within their jurisdiction. You can see that the very basic fundamental needs of a IDP will be the education. So here we can see the education, then the justice to them, then the water facility, then the job, then the food and healthcare, then the shelter. So these are the very basic necessities for the IDPs, for any human we take for IDPs. So that have to be taken care by these national authorities. The role of the UNHCR. UNHCR is United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. So we'll see what are the roles of UNHCR. UNHCR has a predisposition to protect IDPs. UNHCR mandate does not include those who have fled from natural or man-made disasters. In 2004, only 5.4 million IDPs were of concern to the UNHCR out of total 25 million. Already we have discussed these statistics where out of 25 million IDPs, only 5.4 million IDPs were of concern to the UNHCR. UNHCR leads protection effort of UN country team as a part of a collaborative response. Guiding principles or the objectives if you take, what are all the objectives in order to take care of these IDPs? Identify the rights and guarantees relevant to the protection of the internally displaced in all phases of displacement. So identifying their rights and guaranteeing them their protection for these internally displaced people. Not binding, but derived from binding international law. Provide guidance to all actors dealing with IDPs, including national and international actors. So in general, I mean, we can say that all these national authorities should take care of these IDP, should provide them their protection and their rights and their identity. So it is our responsibility to reduce the count of IDP. So thank you.